Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome to your Solar System Series Generational Tarot Card reading, known as the Pyramid's Path Tarot reading. As you can see, the selenite selected Virgo, so without further ado, let's cut the deck and actually get into it. So, cutting the deck on Virgo, making sure we programmed it properly, shuffle the deck a little bit, make sure it's actually in the realm of all possibilities so we can actually have a proper view on what's going on, an expanded enough view to really get our focuses set on what's going on with Virgo, how Virgo is going to be going through these situations, and what actual vibrations and sort of skills they're going to be getting in this life. So let's start setting the deck. The bottom layer is about 5 cards. This is a 15-card reading detailing the experiences, the takeaways, the thoughts, and then the skills that actually lead up to why Virgos sort of do the way they do in this life. And the reason why I say this is a generational focus is because these cards and these readings are basically trying to extract information all the way up from the archangels that actually turn the zodiac wheel. These are the 4 fixed stars that gave birth to the space, that actually gave birth to the constellations that we experience in this ecliptic. So when we tap into them, we get the most accurate readings, if you know what I mean. So with this being the case, this is a generational reading based off of the degree of these actual fixed stars turning. And these degrees, for them to actually move a full degree, this takes about 72 years. So this is basically the influence of Virgo from 2012 all the way through 2084. So with that being the case, this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be born within that time to actually carry these influences, but it means that if you are born at this time, this is what will most resonate with you. People who are born, it really depends on your individual time spent on Earth during, so if it's like, if you rock with the pre-2012, then you spent more time in that era, but if you rock more with this time period, you're probably going to spend more time in this era, if that makes any sense. So let's actually get focused on this reading in itself. So you can see there's 5 cards right here. 5 represents the vibrational realm, the realm that actually has authority over a feeling, right? So you can look at these as individual feelings that define a chapter in your life, if that makes any sense. So you can look at the right side, the righteous side, the right-hand path that you understand, the path you've known, the path you walk. So this is the past card, right? These 3 cards are merely what you could be living in right now, because they're a mix between the left-hand path and the right-hand path. The left is coming out of left field, the realm of all possibilities, the unknown realm, right? So this is your future right here. But remember, you could be existing in any one of these cards. And when we actually move up through this pyramid placement, you're going to see that all of the cards are sort of conjoined and built off of each other, right? So these 2 cards right here are a combination of these 2 cards. And this is the 4th realm, the 4th dimensional realm, aka the realm of your thoughts. So you can look at it as, if this right side right here is one chapter in your life and this side is another chapter, you can't necessarily have a point, aka this point of reference, until you experience another chapter. You're basically one-dimensional until you experience something else and you have it to compare it to. And then you can have a takeaway, which can be a moral compass, a sense of conviction, a thought that you basically carry through your whole life, right? So this is like a thought era, a major thought that you actually use to build your warship, aka your planks that sort of protect you, which is your conviction. Because at the end of the day, when you experience something that you haven't experienced before, it's wise to have a vessel to rely on, or a basically thought you can go back to that basically defines how you're going to act in the situation. And then moving on a little bit, we have the 3rd card. So the 3rd layer is basically the skills that these experiences will push you towards, and you'll basically, these feelings and ideas will influence you to go in a certain direction regarding your skills. And then this is your right-hand skill, your left-hand skill, and then this is the core vibration that represents itself all through life, all through this pyramid. So this is basically the last card we'll pull. And then we have the 2 pillars that support your purpose, aka the conclusion for Virgos in this life. So this is your day pillar, this is your night pillar, this is what you're consciously aware of supporting your purpose, and this is what you're unconsciously aware of supporting your purpose. So let's get started. Okay, so I could have saw that coming. God damn it. Alright, Virgos. So, you guys are mutable Earth, right? Being adaptable and changeable to different ways of thinking and communication. Or, in other words, you guys like to make sense out of things. So, you came into this world experiencing a lot of perspective, right? So, this perspective card is basically none of this matters. Zoom out, common ground. A common card of a nihilist. You know what I'm saying? So, with this extreme sense of nihilism from the jump, I mean, it's not like, it makes sense that you guys would have this because, you know, you guys are always trying to make sense out of things. Virgos are seen as very analytical, kind of, you know, there's anxiety there, you know, a ton of stuff going on. So with this being the case, look at this card, right? There's a single point and then there's this giant realm of all possibilities. This would be okay if you were maybe a Leo or basically any other sign, but remember that Virgos seeing something here and seeing all this potential for anything, because space, there's literally everything is in space, right? So this is basically just expanding the possibilities for something that just changed this little thing that you're focusing on. So this is you sort of coming into this life being over analytical, over worried, focusing too much on the realm of all possibilities rather than the individual thing itself. The next thing you got is fall into my arms, surrender, holding the opposites, extremes of life. So surrender, holding the opposite, extremes of life. This is a tough card because as you can see, it may appear that this blue's, you know, not in a nice space, and then there's this like sort of esoteric like stalactites and people basically forming the cave and the light shining through. You know, there's a lot going on in this card. Fall into my arms is basically recognizing that you live on the cusp of, you know, negative and positive. Realizing that you actually, you know, anything could happen. And once again, this doesn't help you and your influence, but one thing I neglected to mention in the beginning is that this reading is best specified for Virgo ascendant specifically, but the sun and moon helps as well, because the sun shows you what you'll be looking towards and the life path you'll sort of be looking at, and the moon shows you what you'll be reflecting on and attracting, and then the most important one, the ascendant in terms of this reading, is basically the space you're in, right? So you sort of need all three to really get the best internal reading and understanding for yourself, but obviously figuring out which one it best fits your ascendant and what finding which one works for your ascendant will be best. But in a nutshell, this is basically adding on to the crap that you had with here, but you're sort of you're moving in the right direction, but it doesn't feel like it, if that makes any sense, because, you know, learning how to rely and just sort of let go is not something you guys do easily, and this is what life is trying to push you towards. It's just not happening. And then the next card you get is Star Ancestors. Hidden Secrets, Lost Wisdom, Look a Little Deeper. So, after sort of going through all of this sort of you guys just freaking out about stuff, this really doesn't, I'm not going to say it gets better, but you sort of let go of the fact of trying to find a sense of stability and comfortability, and I should say you not let go, but you sort of enter in this age of acceptance, and then you sort of stop like pushing off all of these thoughts that are like shooting themselves at you and like sort of just trying to, you know, throw you off from your mission in a sense, and really like kind of have a perspective shift turn in the negative end, if that makes any sense. So this Star Ancestor card is you coming into acceptance of all of this and learning how to actually look. Find out why you're experiencing this. Find out where this is coming from. Find out when you'll be able to get some relief. Not necessarily right now, but just if you're going to have to go on this long path, you're looking right now. So this is where Virgos sort of stumble into meditation, stumble into reflecting on themselves, stumble into actually being able to refine and kind of let go of what they don't need. But in like a higher sense, a very like thin understanding of it. Like you're catching like little waves of, oh, I should do this, but it's not quite there yet. This is just the beginning. So once again, you could be living in between one of these three cards, but this is your past, this is your future. So eventually you do find what you're looking for. Oh, that works out. So this is the surrender to sweetness, Venus energy, pleasure, joy, make love to life. This is basically you learning how to have your Venus energy. This is kind of ironic right now because at the time of me filming this, Venus is actually in Virgo. It's more the late degrees of Virgo, but it's still in Virgo nonetheless. So this is actually learning how to be relatable, learning how to work on love. Because remember, Venus's fallen place is in Virgo, and Virgo's fallen place is in Venus. Learning how to be relatable, learning how to enjoy harmonious situations. You can't be efficient and selective with what you're focusing on if you're trying to be relatable and actually, vibrate on that love frequency, because efficiency and effectiveness is, it kind of throws all that out the window. But without getting too deep into mutable earth energy, let's look at this future card. So the future card you got is You're Not Alone, isolation, physical connection, community. And you guys being such a lackluster Venus sign, this is probably something that you didn't even notice. So you being not alone and sort of realizing that you have people is, you won't necessarily, maybe during these times you'll feel alone and be like, oh, damn. But when you say you feel so alone and something like that, for Virgos, this isn't exactly as big of an issue as it would be for a Libra or something, Because, yes, you guys look at Libra and you were before Libra and Libra looks at you and so on and so forth, but depending on your degrees of Virgo, this isn't exactly as important as you think. It's sort of like you actually find a friend. You find someone who has a similar experience to you. You find someone that's like a twin flame. Someone that is basically going in the same vibration and looking at the same things from the same perspective, and they just get you. They get what you're coming from. A fire that is with itself, a twin flame. That's kind of what it is. Fire being sort of vision, seeing, feeling, not necessarily emotions, but seeing and feeling, similar perspective. That's basically what a twin flame kind of boils down to. It's not as grandiose as people think, but it's still, experiencing it as this life is also quite cool. So this You're Not Alone card is, you basically find your people that have gone through this. You find your people that have had a mediocre life experience up until this point that's kind of been painful, a little rough, not exactly as harmonious as it could be. So, but once again, why I went through all that is because this may be something that this is probably something that you really needed and you really desired, but just based off how Venus angles Virgo, it's kind of something that you may have overlooked. Now let's look at these conjoining thoughts. So, between perspective and falling into my arms and sort of accepting the cusp you live on, this is a kind of a tough one for you Virgos, because you're seeing life for what it is at a very early age. So, not that I'm not saying that this is like being told Santa doesn't exist when you're 6, but it's similar to that, because you're basically lifting the veil and seeing the world for what it is at a very early age. And I know your influences push you to make sense out of a lot of things, but remember, a big thing that came up for the sign previous for you is having the discipline to actually understand something, having the discipline to engage with a certain idea from a proper perspective so that it doesn't boil over and lead to, sort of a nihilistic viewpoint on life. You know what I'm saying? So this lifting the veil card right here, it's questioning everything. Anything unaligned must go. You kind of already have that influence already, so that being one of your main thoughts and sort of the key paramount experiences that led you to this sort of efficient outlook on life isn't exactly the best thing, so be careful of this. Now the next card along the path you got is, wait, it's not time yet. The things are being woven. You gotta trust the fates. Oh, that's a tough one for you guys. So, look at this card right here, right? This is where you're falling into my arms, accepting that you're on the cusp of negativity and positivity at basically all times. But it just relies with how you look at things, right? And you know this, but knowing this is a rough thing in itself, because you want to act on things, and you want to sort of act out of desperation, but this is why you get that wait card, because deep down you know that you're going to have a lot of these sort of ancestry star things kind of happen to you, but you just need to get to this point of actually vibrating on a healthy frequency so that you can transmit these codes properly from an outlook that isn't out of stress and anxiety. The next card you got is Child of the Cosmos, Intelligence, the universe lies within you. I mean, things start turning around for you later in life, Virgos. It's just when you're sort of wielding, So one thing I like to mention about Virgos is that meaning you can extract from their symbol, which is the Virgin, is that of Immaculate Conception. And I don't mean it like, Jesus and, a God gave birth to a woman on, or not a God, smack some cheeks of a woman on earth and she was actually giving birth of something, and it was basically birth from her on her own, right? Don't look at it in such a, sexual Scorpio 8th house type of vibe. Look at it in more of just the universe in general. Learning how to give birth to something without anything external is basically going through the process to make sense out of all the nuts and bolts from every angle possible, and knowing how something works, at not understanding but overstanding how something works, so that you don't ever need to have any external reliance on a store, a YouTube video, or something like that ever again. Not only are you learning how you learn, you're learning how to create, you're learning how to recreate, you're learning how to create your own process of how to do things, and you're working on improving that every single second of the day. That's not exactly something that's easy to bear. You know what I'm saying? Of course you're going to have nihilism. Of course you're going to be lifting the veil and be like, the world isn't what I was told, But when you get to a better place in your life where you can actually rely on your own skills up to your own standards, you are a child of the cosmos. You can rely on yourself. You don't need anything else. You're working on becoming a verse, a being that is only in conflict with itself. Not a universe, not a multiverse, not an omniverse. You haven't decided that yet. You haven't lived high enough life to really know what that means. You're just working on being a verse. It's cool, I get it. So this is the intelligence of the universe lies within you. AKA, remember that whole tirade about being self-reliant? Remember what I just said about a universe and a verse, a being that's only in conflict with itself? Not only is it the space that contains everything, but it is everything within that space itself, expanding and contracting at a will based off its desire and only its internal conflict. That's what you're working towards. That's the thoughts you're relying on. This is how you can properly extract all of this information and look a little deeper, but also be self-reliant and learn how to be kind to yourself, so that you don't want to cancel your experience in that type of means. You know what I'm saying? So let's get this last card and we'll take a little break.
Alright, hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for following this video up until this point. Hopefully it resonates with you, and hopefully you really got something out of it, and maybe even some deep insight on how your life has been going, the emotional paths, and you actually have a means to categorize it in a way that truly resonates with you. So thanks for following this. If you guys actually want more and you want to see this full reading, you can click on our Patreon link below, but for now just take a spin with me and let's see this bigger reading for the entire ecliptic that we have going on ourselves. So once again, Patreon link is in the description if you actually want to see the full reading, and you can see the full end of the path, all the takeaways, and everything that you actually enjoyed up into it so far, and what it actually concludes to.